This is Spencer Colgan and welcome back to my wallpaper and painting channel on YouTube. Painting is a trade that is shared both by professionals and do-it-yourselfers. For obvious reasons, people use their weekends to paint their own places. And this leads to varying results based on skill and also varying degrees of requests for information from the brand new do-it-yourselfer to the semi-pro to also the pro. And so I share with you on my channel things that I've learned along the way. Let's talk about the qualitative result. The reason I was hired to paint in this home is showing in the center of your screen. Okay? This is not a terrible job. In fact, many of you who are pros will argue that it's the seam of the sheetrock. But if you take a look at the top, you will see a difference in the neatness, if you will, right in the center of your screen, the neatness of the layout. Okay? And the homeowner's not happy with that. And from here, it looks good, right? Until I zoomed in, right? So why did that happen? This was done by a professional painter. And the professional painter rolled most of the wall up and down. But when he or she got to the top, he or she took a brush and did this. This is what they did. Which is fine. It's perfectly normal to get the paint on the wall. However, since most of it was rolled vertically, you get one appearance of neatness versus the top, which was brushed on horizontally or parallel to the trim above the brush mark. And so what you got was this. And that's why you see what you're looking at. A closer examination of the wall will reveal the veracity of what I'm trying to tell you. Meaning, I'm not knocking the work, but a close-up reveals that what I said is true. And they didn't mean it. They didn't mean to do this. There's a way to avoid it, and on this video I'm going to show you how to avoid making a two-tone finish when you paint your wall. You can see that, follow the trajectory of my finger, you will see that the painter came all the way down from here to here with his brush. Okay, fair enough? On top of that error in the application is the sheen of this paint. This paint is no less than a satin, but it has semi-gloss. It has a semi-gloss appearance. I can't tell which, but it's at least a satin. And at the very top, you get super shiny as opposed to the lesser shiny here. And that's because the painter used a different stroke up here than here, okay? So you don't want that on your wall. You don't want that. And so I'm going to show you how to avoid that. Now, here's my biggest suggestion to you. You don't use semi-gloss paint. If you live alone, or you have adults living in your home, there's no need to have this shine. There's no need whatsoever. Here's what this is for. Kids wiping their hands on the wall. That's what it's for. So you can come over and wipe it off with a wet cloth. Okay? Then I would say, tolerate it till the kids move out, get their own place. Okay? So, the customer has asked me to fix a lot of that, and I'm going to, But he also asked me, hey Spencer, I want you to paint the rest of the place. And so we're going to go over how to go about successfully painting your walls and getting the best result. And to maximize the best result, we're going to be using the best tools. Okay. We're going to first start out with the paint. You can get high quality paint from many companies. This is not an endorsement for Sherwin-Williams. It's simply one of the best paints that you can use for beauty, washability, and application. It's a true statement. You see, it says exceptional. You know where they got that from? From people like you. Okay? That's where they got that after testing it out. So let me show you the applicators. We're going to use, first of all, if you're a professional, I go for the extra money. I don't like to use paintbrushes over and over and over again. I don't like it because I get the best application with brand new brushes. Do I buy a brand new brush for every job? Just about, yes, just about. And so let me show you this brush. I'm using Purdy's newest product, one of their newest products, which is a Syntox. Just look at this beautiful brush. You see how flexible the filaments are? You see that? Okay. It's not stiff, right? You take your new brush out of the closet. I'm sorry, you take your used brush out of the closet. What do you get? You know what you get. You're getting this. It's all bunched up. Take that brush and use it as a dust brush. Spend the money and get yourself, you want quality? Get yourself a nice new brush. Okay? Now, you'll see that it's extra soft. When you're painting against texture, you'll see that the bumps rob the paintbrush of the paint prematurely. And so the soft filaments allow the brush to get into those nooks and crannies in this texture. A stiff brush is lazy and doesn't yield to the nooks and crannies on the texture. So the texture is demanding that the filaments find the wall. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that beautiful process. See that? Look at that. Okay? You're going around something like your alarm. Look. Look at that beautiful process. It's going to get in all those nooks and crannies. A stiff brush or your used brush, it's going to be something like this. It's not getting in there. So you'll go out and you'll buy a cup of coffee from the big place that starts with an S and ends with an S, with your mocha chocolate, whatever it's called, for $7, but you won't spend $25 on a real high quality brush. Just think about it. It's not a criticism. It's just, come on, go for the extra money. Okay, let's get into the roller. After you get all of the dust off, I'm going to use my hand masker to apply the tape and masking paper at the same time. Going close. Now do yourself another favor and take off these cover plates, okay? A lot of so-called pro painters leave them on. I think it's a laugh. I think it's a joke. It's laughable. Okay, we have our masking for our trim. We have our masking for our floor. Okay, we don't want to be amateurs. We're ready to paint. Okay, so let's get rolling, so to speak. Okay, if you're only working with one wall, then there's no need to mix your 1 gallon paint can into a 5 gallon pail. Just no need to do it. However, if you are painting with multiple gallons, you want to use a bigger receptacle into which you can place 1, 2, or more 1 gallon cans of the same color. The reason is so that this, which is on the rim of all your paint, which is the ingredients to your main color, but not necessarily your main color, but the ingredients blend in all together. You'll never get all of this off. And this alters, to a slight degree, the color of this can to this can, if these are the same colors. And so you would take both of them and dump them into a big receptacle so that you can amalgamate the color. And then you can dump it to store it properly from this into each individual can, making sure to get the color off of the rim. That's how careful we have to be when we paint. Now, I'm going to take my brush, brand new brush, and I'm going to wet just about 3/4 of the way up. I'm going to wet the filaments. I shook it off. I spun it with 2 hands. You rub it together and you spin it real quickly, and you come up with a brush that's a little damp. This paint is high quality stuff. It's going to stick to your fibers of your brush hairs, and it's going to be very hard to get it off. But I've wet it. I've coated each of these hairs with wetness so that when I do this, I can get this paint off. Now, I'm a little fanatical. I'm going to go around that rim and I'm going to get that color off. I'm going to tell you why. As good as the paint store is, that color is going to get into my base color, my main color. And I don't want that. So I want to clean the rim. Call it a fanatic, but I'm going to tell you something. If you don't do this, you'll even see that there's white at the top of that paint because of the little color that came off of the rim. So I'm going to restir it. Now I have a homogeneous mixture of color from which I can now place into my brush bin. Okay? So let's dump this into here. If you look at my 4-inch and my 9-inch, it's the same exact roller. If you don't use the same exact roller, you can expect that. And you don't want that. During the painting process, you may come to a point at which you stop painting for a couple of minutes or a half an hour. That's a lot of time when you're dealing with a paintbrush with paint on it. And so if you stop painting for any more than 3 minutes, you want to take a plastic Ziploc bag, perhaps, or the sleeve from which the roller came, and keep the air off of the paintbrush. Okay, the beauty of a Werner ladder. I don't think you can beat the product. This is a pail that goes on your ladder, fits right in. It's a great tool for when you're painting. Okay? Now here's my setup, and I've been doing this long enough to tell you, this is what you want for yourself. What I'm going to do here on this small wall, I'm going to do everywhere else. But watch this. What I do here is going to be replicated here, here, and here. In other words, I'm going to now cut. But I'm not going to cut here and here and there. I'm going to cut there. Why? Because I don't want this. I don't want paint drying on me over here while I'm rolling this wall. Here's a little secret about painting. The whole wall should be painted as quickly as possible in order to have the wall dry as one wet wall, top to bottom. I'll say it again. The name of the game with painting wall, after you used quality applicators, quality paint, is to wet the wall from top to bottom in one stroke, in one moment, together, all at once. You don't want the top drying and the sides drying first before the wall. Because what you will get is called a halo effect, where you've brushed it on, evidenced by the perimeter of this small wall. That is unsightly. But if they had used flat paint, I would venture to say you wouldn't even see it. So, let's paint the wall. What are we going to use first? We're going to start at the top, come down the side, and do the bottom. Then we're going to do the top again, do the side, and do the bottom again. And it's going to be wet. And then I'm going to roll the wall. And then I'm going to roll the wall again while the first coat is wet. Yes, while it's wet. The reason why paint companies will tell you to let it dry first is so that you can see that you need more paint at the top and on the sides. Because when paint dries, you can see the undercolor more readily than you can see the undercolor when your paint is wet. That's why they tell you they can't get into it. People don't listen. And so they say, wait till the first coat dries. Now, P.S. If it's a dark black, a red, a dark green, any highly pigmented color, wait till the first coat dries. I'll say it again. The only time Spencer Colgan is going to wait till the first coat dries is when it's a dark color, black, purple, dark green, dark red. Because a second coat will lift the color off of the first coat. But for this color, we're going to paint it all at the same time. I dip into my pail. I don't want to knock the paint off of the brush, so I tap it on the side. I just don't want to let it drip. So I'm going up to my edge with a lot of paint on that brush. Now, I'm dropping the paint about ½ an inch below the ceiling line. I'm storing it here. Just think of it like I'm storing the paint. Now I'm going to pull my line. Look close at what's happening when you use the right brush. What's happening is your brush is yielding to the point at which ceiling and wall meet. Okay? Don't touch it. Let it dry. Let it dry. I put it on so thin it's going to dry. By the time I get to this, it'll be 50% dry. So just let it dry. Don't keep going over it. You'll hit the ceiling. In fact, the quicker you pull this brush, the more fast you go, depending on your skill, the straighter the line you make. When you start going slow, watch what happens. Your hand is shaking. We all know you move faster, you do a straighter line. When you get a little more confident in the use of the brush, you can change the manner in which you hold the brush. Don't be cocky. Go according to your skill level. Generally, take your time until you're confident. And on a textured wall, plan on perfecting it on the second go-round. Don't try to get it perfect on the first. Here's why. Your new paint will allow your second coat to slide more easily. And you'll be able to fill in those unstraightness areas that we'll see along this first application. See how my paint is already dry here? Okay. Okay, you take your brush an inch away from the corner. Pivot, pivot, pivot. Don't go near that ceiling. Bring the bristles to the corner. Don't move it too close. Your bristles will find that corner. See why you use a soft brush? You see where it skipped? A more stiff brush would skip a lot more than that. Look at how I'm holding my brush. Take note, because you're going to do the same quality. Okay? You'll do the same quality as I'm doing. You know? This isn't brain surgery. You're never going to find a surgeon to tell you, you can do it. You can cut the tumor out. You can do it. You can't do it. You need training. You can do this after seeing this one time. You practice once, maybe twice. You should be able to do this, okay? I'm telling you the truth. This is not difficult to do. It's just a matter of instruction and how to go about doing it, okay? That's all. Now, we can go a little faster. We don't have to be as perfect without vertical, okay? So I'm just going to go quickly, not even going to put that on video. When you are about to roll your wall, you want to have all of your penetrations painted around. Twice. All of these things need to be painted around twice because you can't roll near them. And so they really need to be painted and be done with. The reason why we're going to paint as close with the roller to these penetrations is to avoid that. Okay? And so with a copious amount of paint on our applicator, we go about going around our switch plates. Okay. A lot of paint allows you to move quickly, and you're really getting in the nooks and crannies. And when you go fast, you're really not looking as well, so you won't fail if you use a lot of paint. Okay, let's get around this alarm. So I'm gonna drop my paint off a block before the alarm. You know what I'm saying. I'm gonna take my soft brush and look, I don't wanna get it on there. I'm not using tape, it's a waste of time. You take your brush, put it against the wall, pivot, pivot, pivot underneath and behind that thing. Now you say, take it off. This thing doesn't come off. It's hardwired into the wall. I'm not touching it. You know what I don't like doing? Getting home late because I decided I was gonna be an alarm technician and take the thing off. I don't do it. Phil Beckwith says to me on a recent video, don't you take the bowl off or whatever? No, I don't take bowls off. The lid, yeah, I take the lid off. I'm not touching toilet bowls. I'm not a plumber. I don't know how to put them back on. And I'm not gonna crack the thing. Now, here's where we usually miss, okay? As you get older, you don't like to bend. But if you don't bend, your customer's gonna bend, and they're gonna see that you didn't get underneath their alarm. And they're gonna think, huh, he's not that good. I had a guy in New York one time, really nice guy. He gave me a $500 tip. When I was gone, he moved out his refrigerator to see if I painted behind it. And I was kind of like taken aback by it. I'm like, who would not paint behind the fridge? And he said, hey, listen, I want to thank you for painting behind the fridge. I said, why are you thanking me? He said, a lot of people wouldn't do that. I disagree with him, but that's what he said. Okay, as promised, 2 coats, right? We want 2 coats on there. And we want to make sure we get in there. Yeah, just some indications. Indications. Where did he get that word from? Just a few indications. I think Bob made it up as he went along. I really do. And maybe he's got a little friend. And maybe they didn't get along. And maybe, just maybe, his friend killed him. And that's why there's only one guy in the photo, or in the picture. Because maybe the other guy died after a fight. Who knows? It's your world. Now let me show you how you did on your first coat. You didn't do so good. Because if I didn't do so good and you're watching this video, you didn't do good. And I want to prove to you, don't worry about that. Because this is what you can expect on your first coat. Do you see why we do 2 coats, by the way? Look at in the middle. Look at the middle of your screen, and you'll see that the paint is not fully on the seal, on the wall. You see? Watch your painter. Watch your painter, because they're lazy. They don't like giving you 2 coats because it takes time. Okay. Oh, you don't. The second coat goes real quicker. It doesn't get stuck. The brush just moves real nice. Real nice. I'm moving fast. I'm not breathing that much. Because if I do, I'm gonna make the line crooked. Okay. So keep your mouth shut. Don't text and paint. It's illegal. Don't do that. Yeah. Indications. That's right. Indications. Shut your mouth. Please make a comment. Please give me a like. My ego needs it. Okay. I flipped the brush from that angle to this angle. It's a little trick, so you don't have to move your ladder. Look at that. Is that perfection? It is. Okay, very nice. Okay. When we get down to the bottom, where we use tape, we're going to seal the point at which tape and wall meet, so that our paint cannot go beyond our tape. Okay. You want to turn your brush a long way. You don't want to be painting like this. You want to do it like this. Why is that? Because you're about to roll the wall. You don't want to bring your wet roller all the way down to the tape. You want to bring it to the tape without having to squeeze out paint. So you're going to roll, 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 roll. And because this is already painted, you just want to gently go over it with the roller, just to make uniform the application. That's all. But you're not really painting it when you're rolling it. You're not painting it down here. You just don't want this, look. See that texture? Versus this, you want it all to be with the roller, okay? So you're making it wide. If you do this, it's only gonna be a line. You want it wide as your brush is. So now that we have our line done, we're gonna do it again, okay? And you wanna be generous with the paint. Don't worry about the paint bleeding through. Be confident that if you did it right, there shouldn't be any paint beyond your seal. So we're gonna start in the middle. Once again, nice thick coat of paint, back and forth. Now watch this. Watch what I'm about to do. I'm just going back and forth to get it in all these little nooks and crannies. Okay, you don't want to go to a corner and go like this, whoosh, and sprinkle it everywhere. Okay, so I do this at the end, just pull it. Okay, now watch this. One direction toward the middle. Finish in one direction toward the middle. Okay? None of this back and forth, because look what back and forth does. Look close. You see here, you see that? One direction, right? You get the picture? You understand why? Very good. Now, if you don't like your line because your hand wasn't steady, or because you're holding a camera trying to show people how to paint correctly, you can simply go over your line, okay, with the sealing paint and get rid of the paint line that you made and redo it. And when that dries, you can just do it again. But if you want to be perfect, get rid of your mistake and redo it.
There's so many, there are a lot of finished customers out there, but not about, all their pictures look great from far away, I've been in houses after being glass, a year later doing a job for customers. And some of the guys that were like the hiring me, I was looking at, I just couldn't believe that. I should advertise a little more on Facebook though. Is that where you do it or is it Google? Just so that people can see it.
Now, why are we rolling this? Why do this? Okay, let's talk about that. You're rolling the wall, correct? Right? And so that's putting a certain application on the wall. It's called stipple. Stipple, look. That's stipple, the way it's laid out. So if you're going to have stipple here, and you don't have it at the top with a brush, you're going to have a different application up here than you do down here, right? So if this is done by a brush and the rest is done with a roller, you're going to have brush marks and roller marks. This makes it universal. Let me prove the point. That would be at the top. See the brush marks? Do you see brush marks? No. Do you see brush marks? Yes. You want it all to be the same. See the brush marks there? That's why we're going to come in with our roller real close. Real close. So that all you got is roller marks. See that? And then you want them in the same direction, going down, 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 down. Brush marks. Roller. You get the picture. Don't forget our wall. You don't want that. You have the roller here and the brush there. And that's why you have that ugliness. The details are very important. We're going to go all the way up to our cut line that you see at the top and join the roller mark there, whoop, and make it a vertical roller mark to eliminate any difference between this roller and the one we just did. Okay, let's do that. Hopefully this thing stays where it's at. I hope. Okay. Okay. Choose a side and go from the side you choose to the opposite side. This part will be your forward edge. It's going to move in the direction that you choose to go toward. Okay, so we've gone around the penetrations. Ideally, you're just going from up to down, up and down. When you got to go around them, you want to make sure that you go around them with your roller, this roller, to create the desired stipple, to keep it uniform with the application that this is going to make. And then when you can, now we're just going to go straight up and down. So let's do it. I start here, I go up. In case obviously you can't see to the bottom, but when I get to the bottom, I just touch the tape down there. I go all the way to the bottom, okay? Let's see if we can get a better view on that at the bottom, so you know what I'm talking about. All the way up, a couple of inches from the ceiling, straight down, straight down. Overlap your last column by 50%. None of this. It's amateur. All the way up, all the way down. Okay. This is our first coat. Let's fill all of this in and go right to it. We're going to put a second coat on it as it is. It's drying fast, but I don't care that it's not dry. Actually, this is drying so quickly that this is already dry. But even if it's wet, we're going to put the second coat on right now. nice uniform application. It's a lot of paint on there. Notice how I'm overlapping the last column of pink. As you look at the wet edge on your screen, you're going to see that I'm going to re-wet about 5 inches over it again. How hard am I pressing on this roller? How hard am I pushing it against the wall? Let me show you. Don't push on it. Let it fall. That's plenty of pressure. Don't stop the roller from the top to the bottom unless you have a penetration, like an alarm or a switch plate. That's how you're going to avoid lap marks. That's how you're going to avoid brush strokes. That's how you're going to avoid contradictory stipple. You have the same application because you've used the big roller and the small roller of the same brand, the same nap. Can't go wrong. Let me show you. When do you take your tape off, Spencer? ASAP. Get it off. Otherwise, the caulk will dry. Do you see how I'm pulling down? You can aggravate this process by pulling the wrong way. Take the tape and pull downward. See, I'm pulling downward. Okay. How do you like the cut line? Do you like it? Let's go up close. Do you like it? Well, I don't. I don't like it. And this is the problem with texture. We're gonna fix this. I don't care if it's the third time, and neither should you. You're gonna take low-tack tape and bring it up to the top of your wall, isolating those areas where your brush just could not handle the texture. I want perfection here, and I want you to get perfection too. We're gonna get rid of that. Let's go for it. Now that's what I want. That's what I want. Let's go up there real close. That's the way you do it.